Ya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Yeah,
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
I'm so sorry. We are very sorry for the trouble. And then welcome back to the main session, to the main screen. And then we see again on the air for this second session in the international conference. Um, we meet again, yeah, in the second plenary of this international conference after having video presentations. Well, in this second plenary, we will listen for three invited speakers. The first speaker is Professor Delphak Oceandi, MD, PhD. He is from Manchester University, the United of Kingdom. He will try to represent about the importance of collaborations in biomedical research. And the second speaker is Mr. Jean-Marie Pangchamang from University of Poitiers, France, with the theme promoting international collaborations in the age of COVID-19. And the third speaker, we will see Bapak Ahmad Faris Malzi Zamzam Zain MD SPPD from Universitas Wadaya Gunung Jati, Wallet Hospital, Indonesia, with the theme strengthening academic health system and facing the pandemic of COVID-19, sharing the experience. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this second plenary will be conducted by our moderator. The famous one is Dr. Gara Samara Brajadenta. So, well, for Dr. Gara, we will hand it over all this to you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Leah. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Excellency Chairperson of the Swadaya Gunung Jati Education Foundation, Bapak Dadang Sukandar Kasidin, and the leader staff, Excellency Rector of the University Swadaya Gunung Jati, Dr. Haji Mukarto Siswoyo, Dr. Andas MSc, and all UGJ leaders, and our respected scholars and invited speakers, Professor Delphak Oceandi, MD, PhD, Mr. Jean-Marie Pangchamang, and Dr. Ahmad Faris Malfi Zamzam Zain, spesialis penyakit dalam. We are experiencing volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous situations due to the pandemic of COVID-19. The pandemic has affected all aspects of our lives, including the education and health. The pandemic has forced academics to abrupt migrations to online teaching and learning and affected research and innovations initiative. Signaling UGJ sincere commitment and dedication to participate in the global conversation to deal with the volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous situations due to the pandemic of COVID-19. Distinguished guests, respected colleagues, and ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome everyone, distinguished invited speakers, paper presenters, and participants to the second International Symposium on Sciences, Engineering, and Technology, and International Symposium on Social Sciences, Education, and Humanities in 2020. The time zones difference, it is 2 p.m. in Cirebon now, 7 a.m. in Manchester, United Kingdom, and 8 a.m. in Poitiers, France. This is a true dedication of our invited speakers to our efforts to deal with the VUCA situations. We do really appreciate that. I also would like to welcome presenters from different parts of Indonesia and parts of the world. Let us hope that this symposium would exit and inspire us to continue working to advance science and technology and the pandemic of COVID-19. So we will start for the first speaker. Before we start, hello, Professor Delphak Oceandi, are you there?
Yeah, good afternoon, Dr. Gara. How are you?
Yeah, good afternoon, and for you, yeah, very good morning. I think at 7 a.m. right in Manchester.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
Okay, So, ladies and gentlemen, before we start presentations, I would like to read the short bibliography from Professor Delphac Oceandi, MD, PhD. The Professor Delphac Oceandi is a reader in cardiovascular sciences at the University of Manchester. He graduated as a medical doctor at University of Erlangga, Indonesia, in 1996 and received his PhD in the molecular genetics from University of Queensland, Australia in 2002. After completing his PhD, he moved to Manchester as a postdoctoral scientist, and Professor Delphac won the prestigious ESG Young Investigator Award in Basic Science from the European Society of Cardiology in 2006. He was then awarded the British Heart Foundation's Intermediate Fellowship in 2010, which enabled him to develop his own laboratory in the University of Manchester. His lab is focusing on understanding the molecular aspect of heart failure and studying novel approaches to regenerate damaged hearts. And recently, he is also involved in several clinical and population studies on cardiovascular diseases. His work is supported by multiple grants from BHF and Medical Research Council, and his research standing is recognized by appointment to serve on the BHF Project Grant Panel Committee and editorial board membership of several journals, including scientific reports. And Professor Delphac has more than 50 publications, peer-reviewed research papers in the publication with high index 22. Okay, welcome to our webinar, Professor Delphac Oceandi. You will have 30 minutes to present your lecture. Okay, so the time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Kara. It's really nice to be with you all now. I hope everybody is safe and well in Cirebon. Um, I also thank for the invitation to present in this conference. So can I share my screen?
Yes, yes, sure.
Okay. Right. Is it okay now? Can everybody see the screen?
Yes, we can see clearly.
Yeah. Okay, so today I would like to discuss a little bit about the importance of collaboration in improving research quality, and in particular in this difficult time during the pandemics. There's always difficulties everywhere to get grant funding, performing research, publishing your research data. Everybody got difficulties at the moment. And if I can give few tips how to perform a good and successful research, I probably can name many factors, but I would like to say there are 4 important key aspects for success in research. Focus on your research, creativity, collaboration, and mentorship. But today I'm just going to focus on collaboration because this is probably the most relevant in this situation, because we've got a pandemic, and doing collaboration is probably a good strategy to improve the quality of research and publication and so on. So what I'm going to do in the next maybe 20-25 minutes, I'm going to show you some evidence of why and what are the reasons and why performing collaborative research is improving a lot of the many aspects in research. And also I will give some examples from our personal experience. But first, let's back to the basics. So what is collaboration? I think it can be defined as 2 or more parties from potentially different settings working together to achieve common goal. And if you are a movie fan, so this is very, very good examples of collaboration. The superheroes now is collaborating together. but I'm not going to discuss this. Let's talk about collaboration in research. So I think it's been accepted now that the trend in modern research is to collaborate. So this is the data analysis of data from the Web of Science. On the left-hand side here, uh, there is data on the average number of authors per published paper from 1981 to 2012, and you can see the trend is the paper now have more than two authors per paper in the 1980s, but now it's more than five. So people tend to collaborate to perform research. And then on the right hand side, it's the other way around. The number of single author paper reduced during that same time. And if we look at a little bit more detail, so this is from the same analysis, you can see that so the blue one is the data from 1981 and the orange one is 2012. So this is the percentage of single author papers. So the trend is reduced, as we know before, and from 1981, the blue one, to the 2012, the orange one, but they tried to categorize two different field of research subject. And as you can see here, that in the biomedical area, that's even more dramatic, the difference. So that means that in the biomedical research area, people needs to do more collaborative research. So why we collaborate? So I'm going to show you some evidence, the advantage or the beneficial factors of performing collaborating research. So one is promoting productivity. We can do more research, we can have more publication outcomes. So I'm just not saying that, but there are a lot of evidence. I can show maybe 5 to 10 papers, but it is one example. Papers published few years ago. This is analysis in the US, about 1,800 faculty members, academic staff. This study analyzed publication between 2001 and 2003. So the left-hand side here showing the number of collaborators per one academic staff, and in the right-hand side is the number of publication per year during this time. And they did perform statistical analysis to do the correlation, and to cut the long story short, so a lot of data in this paper. The conclusion is there are strong correlation between number of collaboration and publication productivity. And this is another analysis from, of course, data from Web of Science and Scopus. This published by the team from the Southeast Asia EU NET team, showing the number of publication from ASEAN countries, ASEAN member of states. And I'm just going to extract 3 countries here: Malaysia, the blue one; Thailand, the red one; and the green one is Indonesia. So it's from 2004 to 2014. There's a good trend, but let's focus on these 2 countries, Malaysia and Thailand. Thailand's better than Malaysia in terms of the number of publication before 2009. And then after that, Malaysia gradually overtook Thailand. So what's happened here? So in the publication, in the data, in the report, they also showed the number of co-publication between researcher in particular country with researcher from other countries. So this is in Malaysia. The publication group is really nice, and then it's also clear from this data that the co-publication with other countries, whether it is the same ASEAN member or from European Union countries, also increased dramatically at this time, around 2008 and 2009. And if you compare it with Thailand, the number of publication is not the slope is not that steep, the increase, and this is also correspond to the not so many co-publication with other non Thailand countries. So that means it's probably that this is an important factor here, that if researcher in one country increase the collaboration, international collaboration with researcher from other countries, this will impact in the increase in number of publications. Indonesia is also there. There's good increase and also good, but not as dramatic as happened in Malaysia. Right, so that's the one, promotes productivity. What is the second reason for collaborating? I think it will increase publication quality. Publication means research paper that you publish in journal, and with collaborating, it is very likely that you will have a higher impact, higher quality of paper. So this is the evidence. This one now coming from Italy, analysis of publication from 2004-2010, and this is the key data from this paper. On the horizontal axis here is the paper with the number of authors, so one authors, two authors, and so on. And then on the vertical axis, this is the AIR, so the ranking of the journal based on the citations. So the higher, then the better the publication quality, because they cited more times. And then you can see here is very strong and clear trend. When you increase, if there is more authors, then the quality of publication in terms of citation and journal ranking is increased. And this is very true in this area, biology, biomedical, chemistry, and clinical medicine. But on the same paper, they also look at other subjects like economics, social science, and so on. And the trend is, there is some trend, but it's not as clear as in the biomedical science. And this is from the report, the Southeast Asia EU report, showing the analysis of the paper from Indonesian scientists or Indonesian academics from the same year, so 2004 to 2012, around that. And they look at the number of paper, the citation, how many times the paper cited. So this is a very good indicator of the quality. The higher the paper cited by others, then the higher quality of the papers. And as you can see here, this is the average of citation in this different field. And if the researcher in Indonesia co-publish or have collaborator from either EU, UK, or ASEAN, then you can see that the number of citation is increased. But more dramatically, if Indonesian scientists collaborate with researchers from EU and UK. So, for example, in biology and biomedical science, from 10 to 5 to 9 to 17 here. And if it is with other ASEAN country collaboration, this is increased, but not as significant as if you collaborating with people from EU or UK. But this is really interesting because similar to the report from a paper in Italy before, this is very significant, or it looks prominent in the subjects of biomedical science. In engineering, mathematics, and social science, there is some trend, but it's not as significant or dramatic as in biomedical science. So if you are doing engineering, math, or social science, maybe you can get away by not collaborating. But I'm not suggesting that. I think collaborating is good for everybody. Right, so the next part is, with collaborating, you can share expertise, techniques, access facilities, research reagents, more innovative research, more idea, and more chance to get a competitive grant application. So for these 3 points, I'm not going to show you some data from published paper, but I'm going to share experience from our own laboratory here. So this is the stories probably started 10, 12 years ago. So as indicated by Dr. Gara before, my laboratory is focusing on heart failure. But then I'm going to tell you why we also doing some research in malaria. So that's a combination of lateral thinking, serendipity, and collaboration. Right. Anyway, this is the heart failure picture, not the previous one. So to give you some background, my lab is interested in one aspect of the heart failure, the heart disease in the lab that we are focusing is the calcium signal in cardiac myocytes or heart cells. So this is heart cells, as you know, they are beating because hearts need beat. And the green signal is a calcium ion. And as you can see here, it's very important to regulate the contraction of the cardiomyocyte of the cells. So there are a lot of calcium compartment in the heart cells, and we are particularly interested in the calcium in the membrane, so in this area, because we understand that it modulates a lot of key processes like contraction and also enlargement of the heart, the growth, the hypertrophy, if we call it. So we particularly interested in one modulator of this calcium. It's called plasma membrane calcium pump, or PMCA4. So we started this study from 2002 when I was a very young postdoc coming from Australia when I did my PhD. So at that time, the function of this PMCA4 is unclear, that only gave a minor role in the calcium removal during diastole. But then during this time, up to 2016, of course, there's a lot happening here, good, happy, sad, and so on. We have done a lot of studies understanding the function until and identify this molecule as a potential target for heart failure therapy. And this takes 15 years or more, and we are still now working on identification of drug pharmacological inhibitor to target this molecule for treating heart disease. But around 2012, 2014, there were a couple of papers showing that this gene, the PMCA4, is actually may be involved in in malaria, to determine the resistance to malaria. So this is coming from study from Africa, Ghana, and also from other part of the world, other part of Asia, and mostly in Africa as well. So they did a genetic analysis, genetic screen, the whole human genome in maybe around 20,000 individuals, and then they identified only 4 spots in the human genomes that, if mutated, can lead to the resistance to malaria. And one of these is PMCA4. And this is out of my interest, because we are just interested in the heart. But PMCA4, we have the expertise on that. So we start to think at that time, if the PMCA4 is a target to treat heart disease, so we have already done this. We've got a lot of tools, a lot of experience, and only in the heart, in the cardiomyocytes. But of course, the idea or the data from malaria people lead us to think that probably this may have some roles in other cells that the target of malaria infection. And that's probably the main thing, is red blood cells and also endothelial cells, the blood vessel cells. So then we, around 2009, 2010, I started to contact people in Indonesia, because Indonesia is one of the main or area endemic, malaria endemic. And we've got a lot of contact with people at Eijkman Institute in Jakarta who's doing a lot of malaria research, and also from at that time from Gajah Mada University. So we got some tools in PMCA4, and people in Indonesia got access to patients and also expertise in doing malaria research, but they don't know anything about PMCA4. So we talk and then try to do some idea, because in Manchester we've got a mouse with got a mutation or genetic knockout, genetic modification of PMCA4 mutation. We also have the inhibitor, and in Indonesia they got the expertise in doing Plasmodium culture and infection, and we can combine this and then write a short application to British Council. And we've got a palm priming grant. It's a very small grant, £10,000 at a time, but it's successful, and it's quite enough, good enough to perform some preliminary experiments that was done at Eijkman Institute in Jakarta, but we supply all reagents from Manchester, and we've got some promising data that in the mouse model of one of the mouse malaria strain, Plasmodium bergei, we've got some reduction here, the green one, if we treated the mouse with high dose of the BMCA4 inhibitor. And then in the human falciparum malaria culture, got also the same trend. So high dose, we've got the inhibition. So we, at the time, is not really sure whether this is really good for future malaria treatment, but this is open a new avenue for bigger research. And that time we don't know how to continue, but we try to write another grant and another report from this data, and we've got some bigger grants around 2018, so about 2 years ago, almost £500,000 from MRC, Medical Research Council UK, and DP, Dana Internasional, Dana Ilmu Pengetahuan Indonesia, and we have bigger and more structured projects. So we focus on animal study in Manchester and human malaria study in Indonesia. So we've got some field study as well in endemic area in Papua and Sumba maybe, and then we do a lot of mouse and genetic analysis in Manchester. So the collaboration is doing well now. It's still in progress, and we got some data now, although at the moment it looks like from several different malaria strain that we tested in mouse with genetic mutation, we don't see any difference. But one little bit of promise here is that when we induce the cerebral malaria, the severe form of the malaria, in mouse with genetic mutation of PMCA4, we've seen a little bit of improvement, although this is probably not very significant in terms of the survival, but we see some promising data. But we now ready to submit 2 papers, one from animal study and one from the population study. And this is something that I have I didn't imagine before, because I'm just doing this in the heart. If I'm only thinking cardiac research, not malaria, not others, and not collaborating with people in Eijkman and other part in Indonesia, then it never happened. Right. So I hope that this is probably the last of my slides. I hope that I have show you some evidence why collaborating is really important and have some beneficial effects. So there's some data from the published data before, and then I already share how collaborating improve research, perform innovative research, get a new idea, and then more importantly, collaboration help execute the idea. And we've got some good grant application outcome, and then publication. So for sure, at least 2 papers will come up from this collaborative research. So I think I hope this will give you some ideas or encouragement or to perform collaboration in research during this pandemic difficult situation that we are all facing at the moment. So with that, I would like to thank this is people that doing malaria research in my group. Kevin Cooper, of course, the malaria expert in Manchester that helping a lot. And Anna is the postdocs doing the mouse analysis. And this is our collaborator in Ekman Institute. So with that, I stop here and I'm happy to take question. I apologize. I probably need to leave in 5 minutes because I have to go to different meeting after this. So I hand it over to Dr. Kara, the moderator. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Professor Delfa. Okay, sorry. Okay, since Professor has another lecture, so we will open the questions or discussion sessions for Professor Delfa Kosiendi. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, so please you can deliver right now.
This is a short question from me.
Okay, Mr. Dedi. Okay.
Yeah, Professor Osendi, my question is on just a short and simple question. How then we define who is gonna be the first author and the second, third, fourth, and so on and so forth? Sometimes there is an ethical dilemma, and sometimes if Indonesia, sometimes we feel okay because you hold the position better than me in structural position, so you're gonna be the first author. Well, the owner of the project is not like that. So could you please give some suggestion for that?
Okay. So normally in our tradition in the Western research organization, so the one that perform the study and contribute the data doing the research in the lab or in the field, that is the first author. Then the principal investigator or the leader of the group, the one who generate the idea, write the grant, and leading the group, the senior academic, his or she normally as the last author at the end as a corresponding author. So this is the consensus. And then if there are more people from the same lab, for example, if 2 people in my laboratory doing equally the same contribution, then I will decide, the PI, the principal investigator, will decide who is going to be the first author. And in many occasions, we can do equally contributing first author to make it fair to everybody. Okay. So that's, of course, at the end of the day, is the prerogative right of the principal investigator, the professor or the leader of the group. But in many occasions, this is done in a democratic situation, democratic fashion between the leader and the postdoc, and also the PhD student or the people who is doing the research in the lab or acquiring the data. And then there's also a case when we do collaboration. So more than one research group involved in one paper. Of course, this is again the best way to do this. I think at the when we are at the position in the position of writing a paper, then what I always do is speak with the my counterpart, the same PI from the different group, to decide or to talk about who is going to be the first author. And in many cases, it can be shared between the first the person who is doing the lab in one lab in the second lab. But then it can be decided from different aspect. For example, in the case of my collaboration with Ekman, we will have two papers at least. So the first paper, the first author will be my postdoc from my lab, and the second paper will be the postdoc or the first author from Ekman. So that's probably, I hope, can answer the question. So in many occasions, this can be done very, it's not easy, but, and it's a bit tricky, but if you talk about it beforehand, before you start writing the paper, then it should be fine. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. And we have maybe the last question for you from Dr. Ahmad Faris Malfi Zamzam Jain. How to make collaborations in research with high-grade world-ranking university, for example, with Manchester University.
Okay. Right. So I think you need to first, if you approach a group research group in different country, don't be afraid. So just try. But you need to be careful with the way you approaching people or academic with high reputation. There is a lot of techniques in approaching people like that. Of course, the best way to do it now is by email. Email is the best one, and you have to be prepared with your own concept when you approaching these people. For example, you have already some publication before, or some data, or something, and then you have an idea, and then make sure that you know everything regarding the person that you are approaching. So you have to research first, do your own research about this person, what kind of publication, what kind of this, and then start with saying that I'm very interested with your research because in your paper in 2018 in this journal you've done that, and then say that my research group here in Indonesia doing this about the same. So what do you think about performing this? I have an idea this, and if we can collaborate, then it's probably can give a good research, and the opportunity is this. For example, if you said that there is a grant funding available from Indonesia with requirements of getting international collaborators, normally they will, okay, if there's something there, why not? So that's the techniques to attract high caliber people. And then of course the highest the academic, the highest level, then is probably the more difficult you can approach. So you can try to target something that achievable first, not the highest one, maybe the medium level, and then if you are successful you can try with the highest one. And then one small thing, if you email an academic staff in Europe or US, don't use something, the email address that is not university address, like at hotmail.com, star or princess at yahoo.com. So they will never open it. So use the proper academic university email account, and this will start to think, okay, this is a credible university. That's very little thing, but maybe I'm wrong, but I think it have some effects. So be serious with your email, prepare, and then try to explain with them, try to understand the academic that you are approaching, and then of course try to explain yourself, but also give some possible target. We want to apply for this grant. So if you talk about money, normally people interested. So there is some grant money. We can collaborate to apply from this grant. Then they will interested.
Okay, thank you so
Okay.
much, Professor Deva Kosiani, for your response. And for your information, we also have Faculty of Medicine, and we are starting the genetic research. Hopefully, one time in the future, we will have good collaborations.
Yes.
Until now, we have a collaboration with the University of Poitiers in France and Mahidol University
Okay. Yeah.
in the genetic area. Sorry. Okay,
Sure.
so I
Sure.
think it's enough for Professor Deva Kosiandi.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your great presentations and very great response. And it's a very honor to have you with us this afternoon, Professor.
Yep.
So thank you
Yes.
so much, and
Thank you,
hope
Dr. Garan. I'm sorry I have to leave after
yeah.
this.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Professor Deva Sandy. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, from Manchester, United Kingdom, we will fly to Poitiers in France. We have Mr. Jean-Marie Pansema with us. Bonjour, Jean-Marie.
Bonjour Gara, bonjour à tout le monde. Hello everyone.
Yeah, good morning. In France, it's 8 or 9 p.m. I think, 9 a.m.
10 to 9 a.m. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So before we start, I will read Mr. Jean-Marie's CV. Jean-Marie, yeah, Mr. Jean-Marie is a director of international relations, University of Poitiers, France. And Mr. Jean-Marie Pansement has been working in managing and developing international cooperations in research and doctoral studies for more than 15 years in NGUS, a national research institute and universities. And since 2015, he worked as a Marie Sklodowska-Curie Actions NCP, national contact point for the Ministry of Higher Education and Research to advise potential applications to the program. And since 2015, he has also been in charge of the development of Indonesian cooperations at the University of Poitiers via the Erasmus Plus KE 10-7 program. And he interested in project dealing with internationalization, transversal skills like networking, communication, social network, and promotions of European funding program Erasmus Plus and Horizon 2020. Okay, so Mr. Giovanni Pangsemal, you have 30 minutes to present your lecture. The time is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Gara. Thank you, Dr. Gara. And hello to all the friends and colleagues in Cirebon who are connecting, and all the colleagues in Indonesia in general. I see also Dr. Farij is ready to take over after me. It's a pleasure to be here again. I had the chance to participate in the previous ISET conference in Cirebon, and in our special times, in spite of our special sanitary situation in the world, it's a pleasure to join you again and to keep participating to this great event with UGJ. Before starting, I want to thank for the opportunity and the invitation to the rector of UGJ and to the organization committee for setting up this event. So I was asked to, sorry, I'm going to share my screen. Yeah, so I will start with just reminding or presenting a little bit about Poitiers, where it is and what we do, and then focusing on the topic of how to promote international cooperations in those special times. So here we are. So Poitiers is a tiny city in the middle of France. We are a city. It's one hour and a half from Paris by train, 1 hour and a half from the Atlantic Ocean on the west, and we are a relatively small city, especially for Indonesian standards. We are about 100,000 inhabitants, but we welcome, in normal times, we welcome almost 30,000 students. So the city pretty much lives with its students and with the academic community. And that's why what we say, Poitiers, it's a combination of the university and the city. So these are the figures I was telling you about, and in normal times we host up to 4,200 international students. This figure is obviously has decreased because of the pandemic. I will get back to that later on. And our university was one of the old European universities created in 1431. At the time, you had to have the authorization by the Pope, the Catholic Pope. At the time, the Catholic Pope gave the authorization to the scholars in Poitiers at the time in theology, in medicine, and in law. That was the only 3 faculties. And that's how we created this this institution. Obviously, today we are a comprehensive university covering all the different disciplines. So this is a picture of the city center that Dr. Gara might recognize. So we are a combination of tradition and innovation. So, for example, these are old buildings in the city center. In the center of the image, it's the faculty, and actually the 2 images on the left is the Faculty of Human Sciences, and that's where you can find the original logo for the university on below the door. And on the right is one of the famous Roman-style churches in Poitiers and in France. Actually, it's one of the better kept buildings with very rich sculptures and very nice heritage that we have in Poitiers. And on campus, as I told you, we are also investing in innovation. So these are more modern and up-to-date equipment and buildings to receive for teaching and research. So this is a combination of different places on the different campuses, but it goes from, there's an engineering school at the top, you have the humanities library at the bottom left, it's engineering research department, and so on, and the library, and so just to give you a glimpse of what it looks like, we did not stop at the Middle Ages. We keep some of the buildings, but we we are combining both. So back to the topic that I was asked to focus on today, promoting international collaboration in the age of COVID-19. And we are going to see that it's a special time, but at the same time we keep on doing things probably in the same way, but with a different time scale in mind. So that's the first, maybe the first element I want to mention is because of COVID-19, basically we have to think with a different time frame. Of course, in the short term, we've been experiencing campus lockdowns. We had the first one in March during the first wave of the COVID-19 pandemic in France and in Europe, and basically from March to June. And then in September we started again, very cautiously, but we invited students to go to the classrooms, and the research started over, and everything was starting a little bit. And in November we've had a new month of lockdown, and the minister changed the policy. They asked for all universities to switch to distance learning, distance teaching. So we've had to use video conferences to the full scale, and so now it's the new normal, basically. Everyone stays home as much as possible, and we have been organizing or reorganizing our teaching and research on based on these sanitary limitations. So, of course, in terms of international cooperations, we have to deal with the travel restrictions as well. Depending on the country you are trying to work with, the situation, of course, is very different, and the travel restrictions may apply. So, we've had the difficult decision to make to withheld all the cooperation and all the exchanges with partners outside Europe. And even within Europe, some countries or some partner universities have asked to hold on the student exchanges because the conditions to receive students or to send students are not safe enough. So we are again on the short term dealing with those limitations, and so it doesn't have a really direct impact on the promotion we do. Instead, in the case that we keep on promoting the possibilities, but of course we say that in the foreseeable future it will be difficult to apply these opportunities. So we might think in the medium term or even the longer term. Of course, we are very happy to hear about the innovations on the side of treatments and vaccines. So I guess everyone has heard of the new hopes that we have with a few experiments that have been successful and are leading to the production of vaccines. So we are hopefully preparing for maybe next semester or next year to go back to easier conditions to travel and to meet and to collaborate. So that's probably the medium term. In the long term, I guess it's almost business as usual, because it's basically it's the institutional time frame. That means that we maintain the links, we maintain the collaborations, and we maintain the communications with our partners all over the world, and we keep on signing memorandum of understanding. We keep on signing agreements to make sure that the collaborations continue beyond this pandemic, and I'm sure that we are going to see very soon the new possibilities. So in terms of strategies for promotion of international collaborations, in the short term, because we are limiting our real mobility, we are switching to virtual mobility or blended mobility. This is something that is being promoted, especially by the European Commission for the next cycle of the Erasmus Plus program. More and more, we are going to combine virtual mobility with real mobility. It means that maybe the real mobility for students might be shorter a little bit, but there will be virtual mobility beforehand to prepare and to maybe start speaking the language, start organizing and meeting the professors and meeting the fellow students. Of course, nothing replaces real mobility in terms of cultural experience and climate and food and meeting with students and colleagues from all over the world. So that's something that we need to maintain, and we hope that we will maintain to the best. But virtual mobility is also a very interesting tool to continue this experience, and that is something also that we want to develop in the next years. So in the past, I would say up to now, we mostly thought in terms of real mobility, but the future for the promotion of international collaborations is probably what we call blended mobility, which will be again a combination of both real and virtual. So with all this, we are getting ready. Even though we have had a big decrease in the number of students, international students coming to Poitiers and leaving Poitiers for other places with our partners, we are getting ready for the next steps. And of course, as I said, as far as the long term, we maintain the communication. We negotiate with funding bodies, maybe to extend or to postpone the funding opportunities, because, as you know, money is not expendable. So we have to think of new strategies. Either we suspend the projects and we take over later on, or we try to adapt the programs and adapt our strategy. So this is the new normal, as you might see on your campuses also. Just as a reminder, I go back to the timeline in Europe. As I said, there was the first wave in March and the lockout over the summer, and the new lockout in France in November 2020. We just had a message from the President Macron yesterday on TV saying that there will be new steps to opening the shops and maybe starting over and authorizing people to meet, especially in terms of the Christmas holidays that are coming at the end of next month. So it was very important for the population. Again, the new normal for this academic year, we are using masks, we're using social distance, and as I told you, since beginning of November, the shift to distance teaching and learning has been complete or almost complete. So it's up to now there had been an attempt to keep teaching in the classrooms and on campus as much as possible. But the new regulations sent out by the ministry imposed that we shift to distance teaching and learning as much as possible. And of course, we are applying all those new sanitary protocols to all universities and access to buildings in following the health regulations. For again the promotion, I wanted to maybe differentiate three levels of mobility because I said the COVID right now they have the same amount, the same impact but maybe it's good to differentiate the three types of mobility in the medium term and long term. As I said, there has been a huge decrease in both incoming and outgoing student mobility throughout Europe. So we are focusing our communication and our promotion on basically when the campuses remain open and remain and keep functioning as normal, or whether they have been locked down, or also the information regarding the travel restrictions. So of course, in the short term, the promotion is maybe reduced, but in all the different studies, we still see a strong desire for student mobility in the medium term and in the long term. So we know that in spite of the pandemic, the desire for going and having the experience of being an abroad student, an exchange student, is still very strong, and it's a positive element when we think about the future developments and maybe trying to go back to usual levels of exchanges. In terms of teaching mobilities, there's also a short reduction in the short term because all the teaching is organized via video conference, and it's the same basically whether you do this at home or whether you offer a course with a partner in a different country. So basically, it's on hold right now, and it's going through video conference technology. But it's an activity that is probably going to go back to normal pretty quickly after when we have access to treatment, and so there's also a strong will by all professors to keep on collaboration. And as Professor Oshendi explained before me, collaboration is key for higher education, both for teaching and research. For research mobility, there's a slight distinction between natural sciences and social sciences and humanities. For natural sciences, you need a lab, you need to work together with a team and to use products and run experiments. So of course, because the labs the access to the labs is limited, it is difficult to continue the projects. For social sciences and humanities, the impact is less important because, of course, you don't need to meet in a lab, you don't need to run experiments. You can exchange, you can read, you can exchange papers and documents and improve on your research in this way. Nevertheless, as I said, they both face challenges in terms of research fundings because for example, if you have a postdoc contract and running right now, or a PhD contract running right now, of course you need your salary because you still have rents to pay and food and everything to pay, but you cannot continue with your projects, which means that you need to extend. And if you extend, again, you will have to look for new funding opportunities. So basically, it depends on the funding body that is supporting you. The French Ministry of Research have been extending some funding for PhD students and some research projects. It's not the case of the European Commission. The European Commission said either you uphold the project and you start over later on with the same amount of money, but you're not going to get more money because the budget has been voted and there's no more budget available. And but to conclude this part on a positive note, again, as Professor Ershandi showed in the graphs where you could see the progression and the extension of research in all parts of the world, whether you consider Southeast Asia or even just in Indonesia or really any parts of the world. Research is based on exchanging ideas and is testing hypotheses from the work by your colleagues. So obviously it is obvious that the research mobility and the research the promotion for research is obvious, because that's part of the job, really. So if you think about the long-term strategies, I wanted to show you that basically the long-term strategies from our governing bodies have maintained, have keep on going, basically. If you look at France specifically, France is still offering and is still promoting the possibility for international students to come over. Especially the ministries have adapted the visa policies to facilitate the entrance of international students to France. Of course, you need to make sure that the universities and the schools that are hosting you are well prepared, because again, the situation is difficult, and in some schools, maybe the capacity to receive international students is not as big as usually. But if you are interested, I invite you to check on the Campus France, the website of Campus France. So it's campusfrance.org, and you will find all the information regarding the visa policy and also different presentations of the academic cities that might host you. In terms of research collaboration between France and Indonesia, again, the funding programs have been continuing. So right now we are receiving the applications for the Eiffel Excellence Program for master students and PhD students. So this is going on, and this is we are thinking about. These applicants will be coming to France in September 2021, so we're thinking a bit down the road. And of course, you have the Nusantara project, which is co-funded by France and Indonesia, and also the Science and Impact project. So these two programs are still open, and they are still being managed by the Institut Français for the French side, the Institut Français, which is located in Jakarta, and they are working with their colleagues from the Ministry of Higher Education in Indonesia. So as you can see, the promotion at the institutional level is the same as usual, and we are still thinking about the next step and the longer term, and we are focused on maintaining the links and maintaining the collaborations between France and our Indonesian partners. Also, a very good sign for the future. We are preparing for the new cycle of Erasmus Plus programs. So the previous cycle was between 2014 and 2020, and the budget for Erasmus was 14.7 billion euros. And so the new cycle will start next year for 7 years as well. And as you can see, the budget more than doubled, so that it shows the huge promotion of exchanges and collaborations that Europe wants to fund and wants to maintain. And it will be, some of the funding, of course, is between different European countries, but some of the funding also applies for cooperation with French countries and their partners outside. So that's why we have, for example, an Erasmus project with between the University of Poitiers and UGJ running till 2022, and I'm pretty confident that we will benefit from an extension for that. We will probably be allowed to use the same amount of money, but maybe for a longer period. To conclude my presentation here, I want to show you the report that we participated to. It's a report by the European network called Coimbra Group, and it's a report regarding the practices that all the different universities are have been using, and I'm trying to share with you. Yes, I shared with you in the chat the link to the report. So if you want to check it out, feel free to look at how the different universities reacted to that. Oops, I'll go back to the slide. And yeah, then again, this is a representation of how the 40 European universities that are part of the Coimbra Group adapted to this pandemic, and we are preparing for a new report with the lessons learned and maybe more perspective, because as you can see, this report was published in May 2020, so right in the middle of the first wave in Europe, and we have, thanks to the perspective we have now, we can share the new lessons learned. So again, I want to end on a positive note. We are definitely going through like difficult times because of COVID-19, and I can understand the frustration of students who were thinking about going abroad, who were thinking about having this wonderful experience, and because of sanitary situation, they have not been able to do that. We are hopeful that we can recover and start over very soon. So I would say keep working on preparing your projects, keep learning the language. If you want to come to France, keep taking French lessons. If you want to go to any other country, start learning whichever language is necessary, and very soon we will be able to see each other and to receive you, and hopefully to visit you. So I will end on this positive note, and thank again Dr. Gara and all my colleagues in Yerevan for this opportunity.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Jean-Marie Panseman, for your presentations. We know the COVID-19 is very, not only in the developing country, also but in the superpower country like France also have impact with these conditions. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions to Mr. Jean-Marie Panseman. Do you have any questions? Yes.
Can I go now?
Yeah.
Dr. Marie Pangsma, thank you for the presentation. So I'm interested in the, partnership opportunity to collaborate, to research with, professors at the Poitiers University. So what is, collaboration opportunity in the field of education? Because my field is in education, so in social studies. So how is the opportunity, I mean, available at the Poitiers University to collaborate in the field of education, social science?
Well, you need to identify the colleagues that work in the same field as you and would be interested in cooperating. So what I can do is I believe I gave the information to Dr. Gara, but if you want, I can also put you in contact with the proper colleagues. Maybe the best way to do that is if you can write maybe the topic that you are working on and that you are interested in, and transfer it. Either you can find my contact or through Dr. Gara, and I will communicate with my colleagues to identify someone who might be interested. As I told you, the University of Poitiers is comprehensive, so we are covering most fields, but for example, in your field, there might be questions that are covered in our lab, which are not used covered in your department, and vice versa. So, of course, you have to find the right match between the colleagues, and as Professor Oshendi was saying, sometimes it's also a matter of luck. Whether you get in touch with the right person at the right time, whether they've just finished a project and they're open to new cooperations, or if you write to them when they're very, very busy, they will not be so much available. So, but it's if you're to continue on the advice that Professor Oshendi gave before I started. Be precise in what you are looking for, what your topic of interest is. If you have funding, or if you are planning on applying for funding, and with these two elements, you are likely to raise interest from your targeted colleague.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I think we have another questions here. Yes, please, Ibu Farida.
I can read the question maybe on the chat.
Okay.
Yeah. What is the boundary if we are going to collaborate in the education field in the age of COVID-19 because of all the activities using online platform, and how to implement the collaboration between online collaborations? Yeah. What we say to our students, the students who are willing to come, we are telling them that if they come, there are chances that they will have to stay at home and they will follow the classes online. So we are very aware that it's a very limiting context to really benefit from the cultural experience to come over, and sometimes it's a very difficult, psychologically speaking, to stay in the same room, and because you miss the opportunities to meet all the other students and to practice sports on the campus and to visit the area, and it's very limiting. So what the preferred situation, the preferred answer that I give is maybe the first option is to think about postponing. If you can postponing till next year, hopefully, again, because we don't have certainties, but hopefully from next September the classes will be back to normal, and if you come, you will be able to experiment the exchange to its full degree. But we can still organize indeed online collaborations like a webinar, and the professors, it's the same. You can send proposals, and we will circulate the proposals with the different professors and see if they are available to maybe organize a webinar for your students and vice versa. So again, it's a matter of matching the interested people, and if we find interest on both sides, I'm sure we can organize any type of webinar.
Okay, so I think there's another question from Dr. Faris. Yeah, because every years we send our best students to Boachi University, but since this year there's a pandemic, global COVID-19. So, is it possible for having blended learning for exchange students program in the University of Boachi?
Yeah, but for this, I think we would need to have a maybe more detailed discussion, Dr. Farish and Dr. Gara, because as you know, we indeed every year we would receive very good students from UGJ to the hospital, basically, and the some in the universities and some in the hospital, and now the hospital is in an emergency situation with the COVID-19. So I am afraid that most of the professors and most of the doctors are pretty much busy with dealing with the urgency of the pandemic, and they are not very much available to work with interns or students. So in the short term, I think again that might be difficult, but it could be organized maybe on a smaller scale, like maybe giving a couple of lectures by webinar or such organization. But because of the situation, it's difficult to keep working as we did in the previous years, and I'm sorry for that. But it's a matter of again dealing with the sanitary emergency.
Yeah.
But let's keep talking about this. If you have ideas about possible webinars, I can look for professors who might be available or who would like to change their ideas, maybe, because it's good also to take your head out of the emergency and maybe do something else and share knowledge with students from other parts of the world, and it can be it can have positive effects for the professors as well.
Okay, I think that's all for Mr. Jemari Palsamang. Once again, thank you very much for your presentations, and we are very happy to have you with us this afternoon. Okay, so now we are going back to Cirebon, Indonesia from Poitiers, France. So we have already Dr. Ahmad Faris Malfi Zamzam Zain, spesialis penyakit dalam. Okay, so before we start, I'm going to read the Dr. Faris CV. Dr. Ahmad Faris Malfi Zamzam Zain, spesialis penyakit dalam, Magister Management. He was graduate from Medical School, Faculty of Medicine, University of Indonesia, and he took the internal medicine at the Faculty of Medicine, University of Indonesia, and he was graduated from Magister of Management, Sekolah Tinggi Ilmu Ekonomi Cirebon, and now he is a Vice Deanry in collaboration as Students and Alumni Affairs, Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Swadaya Gunung Jati. He is a physician, clinical preceptor, and lecturer in the Department of Internal Medicine, Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Swadaya Gunung Jati, and Walet General Hospital. He also a chairman in the Medical Committee, Walet General Hospital, and the vice chairman in the Committee of Education Coordinations in the Walet General Hospital. He also a reviewer in the Ethical Committee for Medical Researchers Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Swadaya Gunung Jati. Dr. Ahmad Faris Malfi Zamjen, he also Vice Secretary in the National Board of the Indonesian Medical Associations, and he's a chairman in Indonesian Medical Association in Cirebon district. Okay, good afternoon, Dr. Faris. Good afternoon, Dr. Faris. Please unmute your
Then
speaker. Okay,
I
okay,
think we don't have time difference, right?
okay. Okay, Dr. Faris, you have 30 minutes to present your lecture. Okay, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gara, for the opportunity. Okay, this time I want to explore about the strengthening academic health system in facing the pandemic of COVID-19 in sharing the experience. And this is the how we enroll our higher education institution in the in collaboration with the local government. As the outline, I would like to share about the early phase of COVID-19 in Cirebon. The unmet strategy is the challenge, and the third is about the enrollment of academic health system in pentahelix concept, and the last is about the when the pandemic is ageless still. So first time I would like to share you about where is the Cirebon. Yes, it's located in Java Island, especially in West Java province. And beneath the Cirebon itself has two regions. It is about the Cirebon Regency and Cirebon City. This is Cirebon City and surrounded by Cirebon Regency. At the southern part is the Kuningan City, and then Majalengka City and Indramayu City, compounded as the Ciayu Majakuning, as well known as Ciayu Majakuning. So the journey of COVID in Cirebon started by the issue of the COVID itself in the worldwide. As we know that WHO announced the COVID-19 as the public health emergency international concern, firstly, and then due to the multiplying, increasing the case worldwide, so WHO announced the COVID-19 as the global pandemic on around the middle of March 2020. And we have the first case of COVID-19 in Cirebon on March 14, 2020. And here we boldly written as the we because at that time many institutions are invited by the local government to declare to formulate what is the real condition of this case. Firstly, we got only one case at that time, but is it outbreak or not yet? So as the definition of the outbreak itself, that first only one case of a new disease, so we can pronounce it as the outbreak. So we declare as the outbreak of COVID-19 on March 15, 2020. By the time being, so the UGJ was involved in the task force in both Cirebon Regency and Cirebon City. We are getting involved in the conceptualization of managing the pandemic in limited resource settings, of course. So these are the first homework, I think. Yes, about the community engagement, how we deal with the community in together managing the facing the outbreak of COVID-19. Also, we enroll our staff in Department of Epidemiology in assessing things like the case finding, case detection, and about the positivity rate and the about the case fatality rate and infection fatality rate uh, in Cirebon. Also, we are engaging in about the establishment of the COVID-19 Center too, and also as the core of the management of COVID-19 pandemic is about the three T's. As we know that it is about the testing, tracing, and treating. Also, we were at first time discussing about the post-pandemic surveillance, or what to do and what to prepare. So this is the first things we met at the first time as the problem, but we see these items as the challenge. The first about the what people know about the COVID-19 and what the preventive measurement can be applied to community, and how to screen or to detect the case, and how to restrict the transmission, and how to access the healthcare, and what is the optimal healthcare in managing the COVID-19. So in engaging the higher education institution in managing the COVID-19, it is about the how to enroll the academic health system. In parallel, what the National Task Force for the COVID-19 has the concept. It is called as pentahelix. Here, it is the main principle of academic health system, whereas there is a bound between three parts. It is the university itself and the teaching hospital, and about the stakeholders here. And what National Task Force has the concept is about the pentahelix, that it is a compound of the government and the private sector, community, mass media, and the academician. So we can see a linkage between the pentahelix concept and the academic health system, whereas the disaster itself is related to the health problem. So we try to enroll the institution to another role, to contribute what can we do for the people, especially in Cirebon. As we can see that the circle of the academic health system is surrounded by the it can contribute to make the strategic planning and about the physician networks, so we can enlarge our enrollment of the human resources, and about the primary care and patient-centered healthcare here. It's about the how about we build the linkage for the healthcare facilities, especially in the primary care, and about the affiliations and outreach. It's about the networking, and about the health information, whereas in the pandemic, we also face about the infodemic, where the hoaxes and unconfirmed or bad information, as WHO often said, is bad information is often come with us within the our private message or uh, another platform of social media. Also about the access and patent service, about the financial performance, about brand and marketing, e-health and telehealth programs, whereas it is the core of delivery system in nowadays or recent healthcare. Also, we talk about the joint venture, how we can collaborate each other to make a proper and better quality of care. So, what the higher education institution do in managing the COVID-19? So, we are engaged with the problem, or we call it as problem-based learning. So, what people know about the COVID-19 or 19? Uh, we have a preliminary local study that show that there is frequently people with the moderate knowledge. So we saw that it is urged to facilitate the integrated public safe center in managing the infodemic. So we enroll our college student, especially in Faculty of Medicine student, to participate in the public safe center for information or have information about the disease itself, about the healthcare, about the access of the healthcare.
kebaikan itu meningkatkan keikutsertaan.
Okay, and then we construct the education module for the community. So we formulate evidence-based steps, preventive measurement, and so on in a book that we have is like this. And we also disseminated the module in any platforms, in printed version, in printed platforms, also in digital platforms, where we enroll the digital platforms in any social media like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and so on. Also about the preventive measurement. So we formulating the hand sanitizer and disinfectant. It's not only we made the hand sanitizer and disinfectant fluid, but also we made the video of how to make them. So the people can make by themselves to to formulate hand sanitizer and disinfectant, and also about the information dissemination about the preventive measurement and promoting the health protocol, as we know that about as the 3M, 3M, hand washing, and then wearing the mask, and physical distancing. Here here are the documentation of the when we meet with the local government, with the stakeholders in Cirebon City and the Cirebon Regency. We also involved in fostering the information about how to engage with the community and what is the information needed to disseminate to community. And we disseminate the information about the COVID to the lower local head officer. About the next item is about the how to screen and to detect the case. So at first phase of uh, the pandemic of COVID-19, we formulate the full standard how we can perform the lab that can do the RT-PCR SARS-CoV-2 testing. So we build a team that that fully high classification, and they did some on-job training at the province laboratory, and then we formulate the fully standard for the lab itself. And after the lab is was finally approved by the national authorities, we also generate the consortium for testing in Cirebon, Indramayu, Majalengka, Kuningan. It is founded in 5 cities. It is this is the documentation where we did the how we generate the consortium, and also we were elected to supervise the other labs. So some cities that we firstly generate the testing, we also train their labs to be capable of doing the SARS-CoV-2 testing, like in Indramayu and Majalengka, and also in Kuningan. This is where when we doing the on-job training for the other labs, and also the provincial government chose us as the supervisor for them. And how about the healthcare? So the institution have the collaboration with the professional organization to make the some CMEs continuing medical educations, and we also together create a task force, whereas we formulate what is the best strategy to strengthen the healthcare worker in facing the COVID pandemic. Also, we also disseminated the standard of safety procedure, how to perform healthcare in clinic, how to perform in uh, public health center, and how to perform healthcare in hospital, in outpatient and in inpatient setting. How about using the PPEs, and how to make the restricted zone and permittable zone, and so on. And with the teaching hospital, we also advocate and coordinate and collaborate to be elected and as the referral hospital, and also referral lab 2. So now the teaching hospital is one of the referral hospital for the COVID-19 cases. Also, we had the case discussion in improving what else that we can do to make the better treatment, better management for the patients. As we know that the COVID-19 is a new disease that until now it is still ongoing research about what is the real disease, how can it be transmitted, is it only a droplet, or is it aerosol transmission, or direct contact transmission, or any other road of transmission. So all we have to do is how to manage the uncertain condition, and the building evidence to make the right and the proper decision. And also on the latest movement is that we have the collaboration with the hospitals, professional organization, Indonesian Red Cross in for Cirebon uh, chapter and the government in building the plasma convalescent therapy as clinical trial. So we build the integrated management for the plasma convalescent therapy, especially for the COVID-19 with moderate and severe condition, to reduce the mortality and to increase the cure rate of the COVID-19, especially in Cirebon Regency and Cirebon City. And so far, we had around the 20 donor for the plasma, and it is just for the empiric result. It seems that it showed a good result. I think it's not only good, it's a great result for the improvement for the COVID-19 for in moderate and severe cases. And this is another achievement by enrolling academic health system in managing the COVID-19, that our laboratory performance having the second grade, or yes, a second grade after the provincial laboratory that we perform so many SARS-CoV-2 testing. Also, that the government that we collaborate with has the highest performance on doing the contact tracing, where the WHO has the standard for each every one confirmed case of COVID-19. We should trace at least 30 people around the patient, but the Cirebon Regency performed more than the ratio 1:30. So we did some achievement here, and when the pandemic is still, as we can see, the number of cases is still rising, and as we know that some healthcare facilities are being locked down nowadays, and some of healthcare workers are impacted too. So what can academic health system being considered? So we have to restructure faculty and ambulatory enterprise operation, and a redesign about the system operating model, and about the cost efficient. Also, we have to be consider about that, and about the reconsider, and about reconsider the high proportion of the digitalizing in education, and how we must optimize future clinical network configuration, and we have to determine a future state-university relationship, whereas the networking itself will be making the fruitful collaboration and fruitful result, of course, and how we integrate the COVID-19 learnings into research and education programs. At least we will learn much about the how we do restrict area, at least in healthcare facilities, about the infectious and non-infectious in triage. So this is what we are dealing with now. So while the cases is still increasing, and how to strengthen the academic health system itself. So as the conclusion, in the face of uncertainty, academic health system is essential, because due to its supporting communities, it's innovating in science and clinical practice, It's leading policy and practice guideline development and adapting changes. And academic health system is about how we all be with and being engaged with. By be with and being engaged with, it will produces the synergism that will create the collaborative action in manifestate the academic health system that will be translated into academic healthcare. So I think that is my presentation, and this is some quote from some study that I read that the next pandemic will surely come. The only question is when, and the health system and others must be better prepared for that moment. Okay, thank you, Mr. Gara, and all the audience. I hope this sharing will be useful for us to take lesson that collaboration is the principle of managing the pandemic. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Okay. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Faris, for your nice presentations and very, very detailed presentations. Okay, so I think we have 5 minutes for discussions. If you have any questions, please, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
Yeah, for you.
for
Yeah, for you.
Bapak Ahmad Faris Malzi Zamzam, I have a questions for you, doctor.
Yes.
See this one. You know that coronavirus has attacked to everybody in this world, right? And then it has been stated that as that as if this is a really disaster, okay, for the world. But that when some people get this coronavirus, and then I hear from the news that some people can be recovered this one without vaccine. So if what we call this I mean that this virus can be treated only by ourselves, it means that we can be recovery. So it means that what is the danger one? Why we must be worried about that? And then the second one, if there is a vaccine, so actually what is the vaccine for? That's my question. I'm so sorry. So thank you, Doc.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Leah.
Yeah.
Firstly, because what I said that COVID-19 is still new disease that I think we are still not knowing the real disease itself. So at first we saw that COVID-19 is a self-limiting disease, as you said. It is what we call as self-limiting disease. But we can see from first area, we knew that Wuhan has the not pandemic, the outbreak, and we saw that many cases deteriorating. Firstly, we saw that maybe it's about the comorbidities. I mean that the patient had the another or other diseases besides the COVID-19. But nowadays we can see that it's not only about the comorbidities. It's about the unknown origin of the virus. What is the virus? Is it? Because we can see that not only elder patient, but in young adult, we can see severe cases. Not only limited, but we can see often severe cases without any comorbidities. So I think we cannot, in quotation mark, underestimate about the COVID-19. So yes, but we can see now about the antivirus called remdesivir. It is proven by evidence that it can reduce the virus number, and it fasten the recovery. And we actually have some other evidence-based medicines too about the managing the COVID, but still there are some questionable problem about what is the real form, the real shape of this disease. And about the vaccination, yes, about the immunity itself. Yes, it is. It has the essential portion for the managing the disease. So by increasing the immunity, by reducing everything risk in lowering the immunity, it will fasten the recovery. But it doesn't answer at all. And about the vaccination, yes, it is actually about the passive immunization. So, yeah, back to the immunization, back to the immune status. By having the vaccination, it will increase what the bodyguard cell for us to defeat the virus. So we still need vaccine. Hopefully, it will be effective. I heard that the last from the Oxford University, they produce the vaccine with higher effectivity. It is as much as 90% effectivity, and they will produce in a massive number. Hopefully that we have another good news about the vaccine and another preventive measurement. But last but not least, I hope this COVID is about to end soon, so soon. Okay, I think I hope that my answer can be educated for you, Ms. Dia.
Yeah, inshallah. Thank you very much for your doctor.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Faris. Maybe I have the last questions. We don't know yet when this pandemic will finish, right? So, Dr. Faris, do you have recommendations, especially for institutional educations, if we must apply blended learning, especially in Cirebon?
Yes, if we talk about the recommendation for uh, doing the education right, the teaching and learning, yes, we have to translate the health protocol into teaching activity, something like what you said, that blended learning. So some soft skill or other skill that can be uh, translated into online version, so we can do it in online version. But some soft skill that cannot be replaced, so we have to create it into the safety procedure for doing the education. Something like maybe in Faculty of Medicine, I can give an example in doing the laboratory things, laboratory stuff, like doing in you have to apply the physical distancing in lab, just something like you have to put one student in to another student at least 2 meters, so they have separated microscope to 2 meters away, so they can do by their own, separated in 2 meters. Also, they have to wear mask, and we have to see about the laboratory itself. Is it safe to open the window or open the something like for flowing the ventilation for making a good airflow? It is about the room layout too. So it's not about the how to manage the student and to manage the schedule, but also how to manage the room layout. I think something like that, Mr. Gara.
Okay, so thank you very, very much, Dr. Faris, for your prompt replay, for your prompt response. So I think the times is finished. So I will return back the sessions to Miss Lia as a MC. So Miss Lia. Okay, thank you very much for the speakers in the second plenary, Dr. Professor Delfak Ofiandi, Mr. Jemari Palsemang, and Dr. Ahmad Faris Malfi Zamzam Zain. We are very honored to have you all in this afternoon in this parallel sessions. So I will back the session to the MC.
Yeah, thank you very much for our moderator today in the second plenary for Dr. Gara Samara Brajarenta. And thank you very much for all invited speaker, Professor Delphak Oceandi, MD, PhD, Sir Jean Pangshemang, and Bapak Ahmad Faris Malzi Zamzam Zain, MP, maaf, MDS PD. Yeah, well, the time that we have been waiting for is announcing the best presentation. In this international conference, based on the quality of the material, how to deliver the material in English, and then how master about the content, so we find 4 best presentation. From ISAT, it goes to there is no music, right? For ISAT, it goes to Pak Surya Amani from Universitas Swadaya Gunung Jati. And then
Alhamdulillah.
And the second,
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, sir. And then Bapak Hendi Rohendi from Universitas Diponegoro, Semarang. And from ISEH, Rama Samara. Oops, I'm so sorry. Maaf, saya ulang lagi, maaf ya. From ISET, there are 2 winners. I mean the 2 best presentation. Bapak Surya Amani from Universitas Swadaya Gunung Jati. Amami, maaf, Bapak Surya Amami Pramuditya from Universitas Swadaya Gunung Jati. Dan Rama Samara from Universitas Swadaya Gunung Jati. Best video presentation from ISEH, Bapak Hendi Rohendi from Universitas Diponegoro, and Ibu Rogi Batul Lutfi from Universitas Swadaya Gunung Jati. Ibu. Yeah, after this, for all the best presenter, you may contact to Ibu Ida, and then you will have best certificate. Well, all the audience, we have been through the event for the event. Hopefully that we can enjoy this all and get the benefits such as a new knowledge and experience. And we have seen all the agenda in this program. But before ending this whole program, let us hear the closing speech from the chairperson of this international conference for Ibu Profesor Dr. Hajah, maaf, Ida Rosida, KCA. The time is yours, ma'am.
Thank you, Miss Lia. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good afternoon to all participants. After a full day of attending this seminar, which begin with a presentation from invited speakers from 6 countries, and then continue with paper presentation from the participant. We finally arrive at the end of the event. There are a lot of insight and knowledge that we get today. For that, I would like to thank to all of you, invited speakers, and all the participants who have actively participated in this event, so that the event can run smoothly and successfully. On this occasion, I would like to inform to all presenters to come back tomorrow to attend the clothing clinic. More detailed information will be submitted with WhatsApp group. Thank you to the committee and all parties who have supported this event. My apology if there are things that are not present to this event. Till we meet again in the third ISE in August 2021 on Dream Cruise. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ya, Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi
warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih kepada Ibu Ida dan terima kasih kepada semuanya. Untuk para presenter yang tadi belum sempat melakukan video presentation, tetap di Zoom ini, dan yang lainnya yang sudah melakukan video presentation, mangga boleh leave. See you on the next agenda. Keep the spirit for you all. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Warahmatullahi
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima
Besok
kasih.
coaching klinik.
Mantap.
Oh ya,
Barangkali nggak
besok,
dengar.
mohon maaf, besok jangan lupa untuk menghadiri coaching klinik tepat jam 9 pagi.
Oke, thank you Miss Lia.
Sama-sama.
Izin live Miss.
Ya,
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Apa yang belum? Update-nya apa?
Apa sih, Nay?